Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're live in the studio, so get involved in the chat and the comments and make sure you are hitting that like button. We're going to be getting involved with all the latest Manchester United news. We've had a bit of breaking news by Fabrizio Romano, so that's why we're late. I know people moan, you're always late, Jay. There's a reason for it today. You might have noticed we changed the thumbnail, we updated the title, because Fabrizio Romano was tweeted about Manchester United's pursuit of a goalkeeper, Senne Lammens. So I'm going to get into that. You can see it there on your screen. It says here from Fabrizio Romano, literally 5 minutes ago. Understand, Manchester United are still working on a deal to sign Senne Lammens. Talks underway, personal terms are almost agreed, and Man United are in active talks for the Belgian goalkeeper. United tried to anticipate more clubs from France and Italy, also based on exits. Yeah, a bit of a confusing final sentence there, but we get the gist of it. Manchester United are making a move for a new goalkeeper, and it looks like that is sort of moving forward. A little bit surprising, because we've heard Lammens mentioned a couple of times, but not too much recently. To be honest with you, if you'd asked me this morning, do I think Manchester United are going to sign a new goalkeeper in the transfer window, I would have said no. If you ask me now, I think we probably will. It does feel as though there's something in that. And obviously, Fabrizio Romano is very, very reliable. He knows what's going on. And if he's saying that the terms are almost agreed, then you do feel like there's something in that. It doesn't seem like it's just paper talk. It does feel like there's a little bit of something in there. And maybe it's a case that Ruben Amorim looked at the goalkeeper situation. It wasn't ideal, was it? The fact that he didn't pick Onana, even though Onana was fit and available for the Arsenal game. Let's not forget, that's a huge game. The opening fixture against Arsenal at Old Trafford. It's not a friendly, it's not a Carabao Cup game. It is a massive game. So he didn't pick him for that one. Then you had obviously the issue with Bayern, where he was at fault for the goal. I know me and Joe and Steve and Maka spoke about this on Off the Bar, and I know Steve was sort of saying, well, he felt it should have been a foul. I disagreed. I didn't think it was a foul. I think the keeper needs to be stronger there. I felt that at the time when I was at the game, and once I watched it back, I did feel that Bayern does need to be a little bit more aggressive when dealing with that ball, and you've got a hand to it, you should be able to keep it out. And listen, it isn't just that issue, or that incident, I should say, incident with Bayern. There's been a few, and I like him. He seems like a decent keeper, but he's had a few moments, hasn't he, as Manchester United goalkeeper. We know Angelo Stiller has had a few moments. He's going into his third season, and I say his second season was probably worse than his first, so there's huge question marks there. And I love Tom Heaton. He's amazing, but is he realistically going to be Manchester United's number one for this season? No. So it seems like Manchester United are saying, look, let's go for this kid from Royal Antwerp. He's only 23, so he's quite young. He's quite young for a goalkeeper, that, especially a Manchester United goalkeeper. I know David De Gea was a little bit younger than that, but that is a rarity. Don't know loads about him, but we'll get into it. He's obviously played a lot of games, played 40 games in the Belgian Pro League last season, so he's obviously Antwerp's first choice goalkeeper. He's played every game, I think, this season as well. Highly rated. Looks like Manchester United have been scouting him for a little while and have obviously decided to move forward with that. Say, look, let's try and make this happen, because we cannot rely on the goalkeepers we've got. Let me know what you think. There's no point in me sort of just scrolling through the internet to try and do some ham-fisted scouting report. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this is the keeper we should be going for? Do you think we need a new goalkeeper? Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let me know what you think. We had the Emi Martinez rumour, didn't we, about a month ago, probably a bit longer. I remember on a Sunday, sat in my kitchen talking about that one. It felt like there was something there. That went cool. Then we had the Gianluigi Donnarumma rumours that just kept going, and I kept saying, of all the things that isn't going to happen, this isn't going to happen the most, but they wouldn't go away. Now it looks like he could be heading to the Etihad. More fool him. Didn't really feel like there was too much in that. Now, though, this definitely feels like this is moving forward and there's something in it. Let me know what you think, whether you think this is a good move. Stephanie Griffith says, almost 900 watching, almost at 100 likes, 200 next. Yeah, we're now over 1,100 watching, over 120 likes. Keep going. Mark Blakey says, Jay, need a new goalkeeper. Simple. Yeah, I get that. It is an issue, innit? And it's not going away. You can't ignore that. You can't have this situation where you're just rotating goalkeepers and hoping for the best, because it seems like every time we do that, there's another issue. Do you remember last season where, I think it was Bayern came in, didn't he, for the Carabao Cup game, and Heung-min Son scored straight from a corner, and then when Onana came back in, I think he conceded a goal, more or less a carbon copy of that. And it was like, Jesus, what is going on with these goalkeepers? Can we not just have a bit of stability? Ishan Tiwari has done a super chat. I don't think there's anything in it, but thank you for your support. Marcus Abelsnes Keeley, who's been a member of the first team for 50 months. Thank you for your support, Marcus. This is a great idea. Heaton could still stay in and around the team, goalkeeping team. I like Tom Heaton, and I think he's a good person to have around the squad, having the mix. Probably not going to play if you're third choice goalkeeper. Maybe you get the odd game here and there, but unlikely. But he is a sort of a positive figure around. I think he's part of that leadership group, isn't he? There was sort of a leadership group. I think the likes of Delo, maybe Martinez, I want to say as well. Heaton, one or two others are in that leadership group. I think Bruno Fernandes should be in there. He's the captain. So, yeah, I think Tom Heaton is part of that. So it makes sense to have him around. And also makes sense to have that experience if you are going to bring in a young goalkeeper, because I think regardless of whether Tom Heaton's playing or not, he can be a sort of a good example and a good person to work with a new goalkeeper, because we know that goalkeepers train together, don't they? When you're at a club, if you're the first and second and third choice goalkeeper, you tend to work together quite a lot. That tends to happen, so working alongside or with Tom Heaton could be beneficial. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves, we still haven't signed the kid yet, but it does feel like this is moving forward. Let me know what you think. Adam Kenny says, a new glovesman. Yeah, I wasn't impressed with that term the other day. We had it in a news story, didn't we, when we did Transfers Live. I think a goalkeeper was described, I think it was Gianluigi Donnarumma was described as a glovesman, and I thought that was a bit nonsensical. Deja Vu says, Cunha was the scorer, yeah. Nedov, I don't know what we're talking about here. Let's talk about something else. Amir Fikri says, in Amorim we trust. Santa Notch said he could still be deputy to Onana. He could come in as a number 2. We'll have to wait and see. I just feel that there's something not right between Andre Onana and Ruben Amorim. And I don't care if Andre Onana's people, according to what we're hearing, were saying that it's not much of an issue that he didn't play in the Arsenal game. I still don't think this manager is 100% sold on this goalkeeper. I still think he's like, and that's not a great place to be, is it? To be honest with you, I think you need to have faith in your goalkeeper. And even if he is sort of sticking with him, it does feel a little bit like he's sticking with him in terms of keeping him in the team, or the squad, I should say, because he didn't start the other day, because there's other areas that he's had to improve on that are more important or more pressing. We needed a new striker. We needed 2 number 10s. We've spent quite a lot of money on them. It didn't leave much room for manoeuvre for a goalkeeper. That was the noise we were hearing quite a lot from every journalist we spoke to. So it doesn't, to me, feel as though Ruben Amorim, I know he backs his goalkeepers, done it publicly. He did it with Bayern Dare after the Arsenal game. You get the impression that he's not 100% sold on him. Let me know what you think. Andreas Goose says, get Martinez or Costa. We need a new number 1. Andreas Goose also says, believe in Amorim. Normal Lad says, Lammens is proper buy. Is a proper buy. And Angelo Stiller. Stephanie Griffey says, Costa as keeper might be a safer saver. Not again Texeria says, Donnarumma should come to United. His wages are high. They are. Chris Griffey says, rumours that Onana spat his dummy out after being docked 25% for non-qualification to the Champions League. I don't know if that's true. Rumours, might be something in it. Well, I've not really heard anything about that. And also, if he did, then that's a bit daft, isn't it? I mean, surely you know that when you sign a contract. And also, maybe you could have done better in that final in Bilbao. I'm not saying it's all on the goalkeeper, but I don't think he covered himself in glory. And if we'd have won that game, you'd have been in the Champions League. I'm trying to look through some of these comments here. John de Brislick says, I still reckon Onana will have a decent season. I reckon we should focus on midfield. Yeah, I mean, this is the issue we've got with so many areas we need to improve on, and midfield is obviously one of them. We saw it at the weekend, didn't we, against Arsenal? The mix didn't quite seem right, did it? Casemiro did okay for an hour, to be fair to the lad. Then he comes off. Ugarte comes on and has a pretty disastrous cameo. People still asking what is happening with Kobbie Mainoo. Does he fit into this team? Does the manager trust Manuel Ugarte? Because he brought him on, but he didn't start in Bilbao. He didn't even get any minutes in Bilbao. So it does feel a little bit confusing, doesn't it, as to what is going to happen with the midfield situation. Let me know what you think about the goalkeeper situation. Let me know what you think about the midfielder situation. Let me know what you think about any of the transfer stories or rumours you are hearing. We will get some more stories in a minute. I want to talk about JJ Gabriel. So this is the youngster who's been called Kid Messi. Me and Finn spoke about him a couple of months ago. Says Manchester United youngster JJ Gabriel has been told he will train with Ruben Amorim's first team squad at times this season, even though he's too young to be part of the club's FA Youth Cup quest this term. The 14-year-old winger committed his future to United this summer. So highly is the youngster rated that technical director Jason Wilcox played an active role in those discussions. Gabriel made his Premier League under-18 debut by starting Saturday's 1-0 win at Everton, excelling against opponents, who in many instances were much older and much bigger. He was then invited into the Old Trafford's director's box for Manchester United's Premier League game against Arsenal the following day in a further sign of a determination to make him feel part of the club. Look, listen, everyone is raving about this kid. Everyone is saying how good he is, how he could be the next big thing. There's a massive sort of effort, as you can see from that article we just read there, by the club to try and sort of make him feel at home at Manchester United. There's a picture there of him and Ruben Amorim. The club are obviously determined to try and keep him. We want him long term. I've seen this a million times with youngsters where there's a lot of hype around 14, 15-year-olds. When the club go all out to try and keep a player like this, there's usually something in it. This reminds me a little bit of David Beckham. Now, I know that's a big comparison, but David Beckham was invited into the first team setup very early in terms of he was in the dressing room quite a lot. And I remember if you watch the Beckham documentary, you had players saying that you used to see this kid, he used to come in, everyone was like, he must be really special the way Sir Alex Ferguson is sort of treating him. So there was definitely something in that because the club recognised early doors, look, this kid is going to have a very bright future. We need to make him feel welcome. We need to make sure he's determined to stay at Manchester United. It feels like there's a similar situation going on with JJ Gabriel. Now, I've no idea how his career is going to pan out, whether he's going to have the same success as David Beckham or not. We don't know. It's far too early to tell. But he is being lauded by everyone who watches him. And it's exciting. It's an exciting thing to see, and I hope he stays at Manchester United. And I hope he has the career that many are predicting him to have, and I hope he has it at Manchester United. Let me know what you think. See what Greg says, time against Grimsby. Chris Griffith says, Jay, how's your auntie chafing? We don't hear much about her anymore. Hope she's okay. She's on tablet. She's getting there. Andres Q says, where are the youngsters we have raved about before? Well, you've got to remember that a lot of the youngsters we've raved about have actually done quite well. The youngsters that I remember us raving about were players like Paul Pogba was one that was earmarked as soon as he came from Le Havre. People saying he's going to be the next big thing. Mason Greenwood, I know it didn't work out for reasons we don't all need to get into, we know those, but let's not pretend he wasn't or isn't a very talented footballer. So there was a lot of hype around him. More recently, I think Kobbie Mainoo was one. From the age of 15, people looking at him and going, he's destined for greatness. And listen, I know last season wasn't ideal, but let's not forget the season before, won an FA Cup, was player of the match in FA Cup final, and played in the Euros final. So let's not pretend that he didn't do well and he hasn't done well. So a lot of youngsters that you rave about go on to do good things. Look at the youngsters that actually stand out, that are actually picked out from the team, from the squad, and people go, actually, these are the ones you need to watch. Invariably, they do quite well, whether that's at Manchester United or elsewhere. Stephanie Griffith says Shea Lacey as well. Yeah, Shea Lacey is one. He's had slight injury issues, and I hope he can recover from them because he's one, it's a good point, he's one that has been looked at and lauded about and praised. I think he was in the same sort of England team as the likes of Ethan Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly. They've obviously done quite well. They're getting more games at Arsenal. Shea Lacey's had these injury issues. I think if he can get over those injury issues, he's got a very, very bright future ahead of him. Let's talk about Rasmus Handland. So Napoli are willing to include an obligation to buy clause in any deal for Manchester United striker Rasmus Handland. This is from the Daily Mail. The Italian champions have been stepping up talks with United for Handland, as reported by Simon Jones. And according to Di Marzio, rather than simply a loan with a buy option, Napoli are now willing to commit an obligation to buy. It was reported that Handland wants that he wants some sort of assurances that when he goes to Napoli or he goes to the next club he's going to, that he will get a permanent move. So that feels like that is how that could happen. Napoli willing to do that. If they are, great. I mean, look, I feel for Rasmus Handland. It's not been an easy time for him. He did well in that first season. I think, was it 16 goals in all competitions? Last season wasn't great at all. The crowd were on him. I keep saying it because it's true. The crowd were on him. Social media was on him. You could see he was suffering. Didn't really work out for him, did it? And now it looks as though he's surplus to requirements with the signing of Benjamin Sesko. So if you can get a move to Napoli, they've obviously done very well last season, winning the Scudetto. Scott McTominay, a Ballon d'Or nominee, absolutely loving life there. They've also brought in, I think, is it Kevin De Bruyne as well. So it's a good team to go into. Passionate fans. Joe went to Naples and he was telling me that the Napoli fans are something else. That could be a good move for Rasmus Handland, who obviously knows Serie A, did well there at Atalanta, and could get his career going again. He's only 22 and he's got loads of time to get it going again. Just not worked out for him last season at Manchester United. We'll see what happens. We'll keep you posted as always. Let's talk about Antony. This is annoying me, this. Right? Manuel Pellegrini has told Manchester United to make a decision on Antony's future with Real Betis side, still hopeful of signing start this summer. We'll make a decision when you pay the money to get him. It's that simple, right? He went there, he absolutely smashed it, and we've been waiting around for months for Real Betis to decide whether they can get the money together to buy a player who was player of the match almost every week and scored loads of goals and got loads of assists for them. We're not just going to give him you. It says here, if you go further, you can see it further down there, you don't need to scroll. Antony also wants to return to Seville, but there has not been an agreement between the clubs. Old Trafford Chiefs reportedly valued the 25-year-old at 40 million, which has not yet been met. Listen, I'm not going to pretend that Antony's time at Manchester United was all sunshine and rainbows. It wasn't. It ended pretty disastrously. He had an okay first season. Second season, he fell off. He went to Real Betis. He absolutely smashed it. The fans love him. The manager loved him. The club loved him. 40 million quid for a player that's 25 years old and has just been absolutely smashing it here is an extortionate. Probably get away with a £30 million bid from what we're hearing, but they've just not come up with anything, and now Manuel Pellegrini's moaning about it. He can shut up, the blue muppet. Let's move on. Let's talk about Angelo Stiller. Man United consider final signing and eyeing star recommended by Tony Cruz. This was in the Express last night. Manchester United are reportedly considering a move for Stuttgart midfielder Angelo Stiller. The 24-year-old has attracted interest from a number of top clubs and was recommended to Real Madrid by Tony Cruz earlier this year. Yeah, we know United were rubbish last season. We don't need to labour the point. And I think we've got a little bit more on this from our mate Florian Plettenberg. He says, rumours linking, I don't know why I put still in there. Rumours linking Manchester United with Angelo Stiller are wide of the mark. There are no internal or external discussions nor any concrete plans regarding the Man United move for Stiller before deadline day. He will go into this season with VfB Stuttgart. His contract runs till 2028. Top player. Right, I trust Florian Plettenberg. He knows German football like I know being bald, so there's no question marks there. We ain't getting Angelo Stiller. That's the end of that one. Discombobulate says, Betis are notoriously skint, so can't see them stumping up 40 million. Right, well, you can't have him then. Or if you can't pay 40 million, what can you pay? Otherwise, let's just move on and try and sell him to someone else. Let's have a look. What else have we got? I'll mention this. This is from Gimme Sport. Gimme Sport do have some stories that are true. They also have some that aren't. I wouldn't say they're ultra reliable, but they've got... Romano do stuff for Gimme Sport now and again. It says here that Red Devils seeking for Spurs to eye Garnacho. What does that even mean? Just scroll down, let me read that headline again. Right? Red Devils seeking for Spurs to eye Garnacho. What? What do you mean? What's that mean? I'm seeking for you to eye Garnacho. Let's have a look at this nonsense. Manchester United have given Tottenham the green light to come back into the frame to sign Garnacho. What? What are you even on about? United have said Tottenham, if they want, I'm spitting all over myself, that's how irate I'm getting. United have said Tottenham can put a bid in for Garnacho. Well, yeah, obviously. Anyone can. What a weird story. Listen, we know that he's been linked with a move to Chelsea. We know that we're waiting for this bid from Chelsea. We know it's not materialised yet. Maybe Spurs want to come in because they didn't get Eberechi Eze. We'll have to wait and see. But that just feels like an absolutely nothing headline. That Manchester United are waiting or have given the green light for Spurs to eye up Garnacho. Yeah, mint. Oh, God. Okay, I've just seen what's next on the list. Is this after the Wesley Sneijder rumours? Adrian Rabiot. Manchester United are set to be offered the chance to sign former target Adrian Rabiot after he was transfer listed by Marseille. According to reports. We were going to buy him a couple of years ago. We didn't buy him. Now, apparently, we're told we can buy him if we want because he's been transfer listed. Well, obviously, we can if we want because Marseille don't want him. But I don't think we want him, and I don't think he's necessarily what we need. We need more of a DM than he is. I don't think this is going to happen. He had a bit of a bad reputation before all this. It's not been helped by this fallout he's had with Roberto De Zerbi at Marseille. I think we should move on. I don't even think we're going to get him anyway. So let's move on from that. Shall we talk about Maguire? Let's go to Maguire. Harry Maguire. So Harry Maguire has hinted a desire. Let's start again. Harry Maguire has hinted at a desire to sign a new contract at Manchester United when his current deal expires. He's been given an interview, Harry Maguire. I think he spoke to Andy Mitten. I don't know if he spoke to anyone else. But he said, I'm sure over the next few months we'll have a conversation about where we want to go and if they want to extend. I have something in my mind about what I want to do. I don't want to put it out there publicly, but it's an amazing club to play for, and you'd be silly if you wanted to jump out of it as soon as you could. I think there were a couple of clubs who inquired or spoke with them, and I think they got a quick response. Listen, I'm completely here for the rejuvenation of Harry Maguire's reputation in the eyes of many Manchester United fans. He was a bit of a figure of ridicule, wasn't he? For a long time, Harry Maguire. He seemed to symbolise a lot of what was wrong with Manchester United, overpaying for players. 80 million quid for him was probably, well, it was too much. Not his fault, but people looked at it and was like, oh, this is a symbol of what has gone wrong with the club. We're paying £80 million for a defender who's decent, but he's not worth 80 million quid. And then he was getting booed, wasn't he, by England fans. I don't know why England fans were turning against him, considering he's been one of England's best players ever. And you might laugh at that, but what's he been to? Is it we got him out getting to a final and a semi-final, quarter-final. I mean, there's not many players that have done better than that, so I don't know why England fans would turn against him, but I digress. Manchester United fans more or less stuck with him, but there was a lot of fans that questioned it and weren't so impressed with some of his performances. Then it was like, oh, he's not even good enough now to start. Had a bit of a rejuvenation. The goal against Lyon obviously was massive last season. But I think if you scratch beneath the surface, me and Joe did a video about Mason Mount that's going to be coming out later on today. And we're talking about transfer fees and how they can be a little bit deceptive. Now, Harry Maguire cost 80 million quid. Now, we overpaid for him. I'm not denying that. I'm not going to defend it or pretend it was a bargain. It wasn't. However, he's been at the club 6 years. So that works out about just over 30 million quid a season. That's not that bad, really. If you think about it, if you were to pay, I don't know, 39 million quid for a player and he was at the club for 3 years, everyone would be all right with that. So it's not that disastrous. I'm not saying we should have paid 80 million. I'm just sort of put it into some sort of context there, a bit of perspective. He's still at the club. He's still playing for Manchester United. He's been here for 6 years. He's obviously a good figure to have around the club as well. Never moaned, lost the captaincy, didn't kick off, always plays, always does the job asked of him, was fit as well at times last season when we were desperate for a defender because we had basically our entire back three out. So I think Harry Maguire deserves a little bit more credit than he gets. It's not his fault we overpaid for him. And actually, he's been here for 6 years. It's not that terrible, the fee that we ended up paying, because it works out about, like I said, 30 million quid. A season, which is just, okay. Ralph Terry says he's had some great last-minute goals. C.J. James John says Maguire at number 6, then about that. He also says Sir Jacob Harry Maguire. Yeah, look, we interviewed Harry Maguire once. It was a bit annoying when we was at Full-Time Devils, or when we were Full-Time Devils. We interviewed him part of a Puma thing. It was just after, I think it was just before lockdown, and then Puma brought out a new boot, and we weren't allowed to use the interview, but we got to chat to him. Me and McCall got to chat to him for about half an hour, and he came across really well. Whenever I've met Harry Maguire on tour, I've not spoke to him extensively, just said hello. He always seems like a decent bloke, does a job when he's asked to do one. I just wish I just hope we move away from this idea of Harry Maguire's going to get us the goal that we need. We should be moving past that. That's not his fault, but come on. Also, Joe Smith sent me this earlier. What does this mean in transfer news parlance? Manchester United are sighing the loudest for Adam Wharton. Sighing the loudest. Not monitoring the situation, but sighing the loudest. What? Just every day there's a new sort of saying that just makes me think, what is going on with football transfer news? I just don't get it anymore. Santa Not says, this is Transfers Live Gold. Sighing the loudest. So there you go. We're sighing the loudest for Adam Wharton. I don't know what that means. I don't care. I don't want to find out. Let's just ignore it from now on. I'm going to leave it there. It's a bit of a longer one today because there was quite a lot going on. I'm going to be back later on. We've got The Brew at 4 o'clock, me and Stephen Howson, so make sure you check that out. Plus, we'll have a little video on Mason Mount, talking about rejuvenation of Harry Maguire. Is there a rejuvenation of Mason Mount? We'll get into that, me and Joe Smith, on that one. So make sure you're not doing so already. You are hitting like, share, and subscribe. I'm Jay Moy. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.